Chapter 61 The beginning of the subversion of the Wolf Alliance. Let the storm come even harder. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Has that been arranged? Yi Yuan looked at the subordinates in front of her, her eyes were cold and majestic. It has been arranged. In the name of a meeting, the senior leaders of each hall have been called back. They are on the way now and will be here before 7 p.m. The subordinates reported tremblingly. Looking at her with fear in their eyes, the deputy leader had treated them extremely cruelly before, now the perversion and madness made them tremble with fear and dare not breathe. Very good, you go down, have someone keep a close eye on their families, and take action when I give the order. Yi Yuan waved her hand very coldly. If Xu Liang had not asked to reduce the losses of the Wolf Alliance, she would not have had to go through so much trouble and would have killed them directly. Keeping a close eye on their families is a means of control. If they are obedient, everything will be fine. At most, in order for the master to win the game, let them fight to the death. If they are not obedient, don't blame her for being cruel. Su Group. President's office. Xu Liang was sitting in an office chair, looking at his phone leisurely. Secretary Shui Yurong kept nodding and reporting her work. He had just received the news that Lin Hao had been arrested on his phone, and he had guessed Yi Yuan's secret arrangement. He was quite smart. Will it start in the evening? Xu Liang raised his eyebrows slightly. He was going to see Lu Rulin in the evening, so he couldn't go to the scene. Then, let's give him a live broadcast exclusively. Yi Xian was getting deeper and deeper into trouble. After making a lot of money from stock trading yesterday, he asked his father to invest another 3 million. He was still dreaming of becoming a new generation of stock god who would surpass Buffett. Xu Liang smiled and said to let the storm come more violently. Xingyue Club Xia Qingqiu also received the news that Lin Hao had been arrested, and her heart sank after she learned about the situation. It was obviously a game against Lin Hao, so that he could not participate in the next game. I thought it was Xu Liang who did it, but I found out that it was the Wolf Alliance. No, the Wolf League didn't know about Lin Hao's existence. It should be Xu Liang who told the news. Xu Liang represented the Wolf League and would not allow Lin Hao's combat power to exist. Although he knew that Xu Liang was behind it, he was also very disappointed with Lin Hao. He asked him to be more restrained recently, but something happened when he turned around. Xia Qingqiu wanted to fight for it and tried to bail Lin Hao out, but she was stopped by the Wolf League. She was in a heavy mood and could only rely on herself next. She had to win. Otherwise she would surrender to Xu Liang, and she didn't know what kind of posture she would be put in the evening. 7 o'clock. Xu Liang came to Lu Rulin's house. At this time, he was sitting on the sofa and looking at the tablet in front of him. It clearly showed the picture of the Wolf League headquarters. According to the time of the party, everyone arrived on time and gathered in a hall. It can be said that all the high-level leaders of the Wolf League were gathered here. Everyone who was called out could be called out by name in the underworld. Brother, you called us back. Is there something wrong? A hall master who was called back asked. Yeah, big brother. Who dares to mess with our Wolf Alliance? Are you looking for death? It should be the Xingyue Association. I think they are tired of living. Someone spoke first, as if opening a chat box, and a group of people started talking. Brothers, listen to me. The leader Zhang Xiaotian spoke, and the high-level officials quieted down. This shows the influence of him as the leader. Zhang Xiaotian nodded with satisfaction and said, it's not the Xingyue Association. Although they have risen rapidly, they are not taken seriously by our Wolf Alliance. Call everyone here. First, because we brothers haven't seen each other for a long time, let's get together. As for the second. Everyone pricked up their ears, knowing that the key point was coming. Second, someone wants to subdue the Wolf Alliance and bluntly wants us to be dogs, and asks if you agree. What? As soon as this was said, except for those who knew the reason, the faces of the others all changed drastically. Who is it? He is so bold that he dares to say such a thing. I think he is looking for death. Brother, just tell me who it is. I will take a few brothers to kill him now. It seems that we haven't taken action for a long time. People have forgotten the power of the Wolf Alliance. The crowd was indignant, and the hall was noisy and cursed. Yi Yuan looked at these people with cold eyes, and the murderous intent on his body was almost uncontrollable. Wait until the master's game is over, and you will all die. Seeing that everyone was refusing this, Zhang Xiaotian was very satisfied and stretched out his hand to press. He is the eldest son of the Xu family, Xu Liang. To prevent retaliation, everyone needs to be vigilant. Recently, everyone should be more restrained, and some business can be temporarily put aside. After hearing what he said, all the senior executives were stunned, many of them changed their faces wildly. I didn't expect that the person who was offended by the Wolf Alliance was actually the eldest son of the Xu family. What is the Xu family? The head of the 4 major families in the Magic City has dabbled in the military, politics, and business circles. What can they use to fight others? Of course, there are also people who are not afraid of trouble and speak with great pride. The Xu family. If they offend, they offend. We, the Wolf Alliance, are never afraid of trouble. Even if it is the Xu family, they are not qualified to let us be dogs. Seeing the change in everyone's face, Zhang Xiaotian continued to speak. Everyone, don't be so pessimistic. The power of the Xu family has slowly shifted to the imperial capital. We don't have to be afraid at all. As the saying goes, a strong dragon cannot suppress a local snake. The Wolf Alliance has been rooted in the Magic City for 20 years and has never been afraid of anyone. As soon as the voice fell, it immediately attracted a voice of echo. Brother is right, fight him. We, the Wolf Alliance, don't cause trouble, but we are not afraid of trouble. The Xu family is nothing great, why are they so high and mighty? Seeing that the goal was achieved, Zhang Xiaotian couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. If offending Xu Liang caused public anger, even he, the leader of the dark power, couldn't suppress it. Fortunately, these people still have blood, and all the worries did not happen. Immediately, he looked at Yi Yuan, one of the 4 deputy leaders, and she was in charge of the banquet. The next step was to eat and drink well, brag and chat. Yi Yuan's mouth curled up a little, and began to arrange the logistics to serve food and wine. Seeing this, Zhang Xiaotian felt a tingling sensation on his scalp for some reason. He shook his head and put aside his distracting thoughts, thinking that he was overthinking. The hall was extremely lively, toasting each other, and bragging to the sky, but the good times didn't last long, and suddenly a person's face changed wildly, and his body fell down involuntarily. Someone, poisoned. As the first person fell, like dominoes, a group of high-level people fell one after another. Among them were the leader Zhang Xiaotian and 3 deputy leaders. Wait, why are there only 3? Chapter 62. The fun is in progress. Can you call the master's name? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Of the 4 deputy leaders, why were only 3 poisoned? A question emerged in everyone's mind. Soon, Yi Yuan stepped forward to answer their doubts. Everyone, stay safe. After taking off the heavy makeup, she looked even more beautiful, and the smile on her face was even more charming, but at this moment, everyone in the hall did not feel that the smile was enchanting, but instead felt chilled to the bones. Yi Yuan, what did you do to us? A deputy leader shouted angrily. Don't you see? I've poisoned you. The expression on Yi Yuan's face was a little evil. The leader of the alliance, Xiaotian, was also very angry and wanted to kill the woman in front of him, but he couldn't. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed through my mind. Only then did he realize that it was Yi Yuan who had proposed this high-level gathering. She had planned everything beforehand. He immediately asked angrily, why did you do that? Why? Yi Yuan seemed to whisper, but then her voice turned cold. If I'm to blame, it's your ignorance. It's an honor for the master to let the Wolf Alliance become a dog, but you idiots refused, making the master very embarrassed. Master has no face, you will die. There was a crazy expression on her face, which made everyone feel scared. What? Everyone was stunned when they heard the content of her words, and when they came to their senses, they were all furious. Is it still an honor to be a dog? I can go to Nima's, etc. Zhang Xiaotian discovered Hua Dian and his pupils shrank sharply. Are you from Xu Liang? Snap. Yi Yuan's eyes turned cold, and she appeared in front of him with a swish and slapped her big mouth. Zhang Xiaotian was extremely weak due to the poisoning, and was slapped away before he could react. The cold voice reached everyone's ears. You can also call the master's name. The crisp slaps silenced the originally noisy hall, and everyone was stunned. Damn it. What did they see? Yi Yuan actually slapped Zhang Xiaotian away. Zhang Xiaotian is a master of dark power, and he speaks out in the Wolf League, making them both respect and fear him. Now, he was slapped hard. It's as if all their faith has been drained away. She is also in Jin. Someone exclaimed. Only then did everyone react. The speed that Yi Yuan erupted just now made them unable to see clearly. It was definitely at the dark level. Feeling the burning pain on his face, Zhang Xiaotian was extremely angry. A pair of eyes seemed to be spitting out fire. That slap was not spared. He spun 720 degrees in the air before landing, and rolled another 4 or 5 meters before stopping. At this moment, his face was swollen, his teeth were almost broken, and he looked a little losing. The pain on his body was second to none, but the strange looks around him made him furious. Yi Yuan ignored him, moved a chair and sat down, looking down from above. Originally, according to my wishes, if you dare to reject the master, you will all die. The master sees that you are still of some use and gives you a chance to survive. After hearing her words, everyone immediately stopped and started shouting. They can become the top leaders of the Wolf Alliance. Each one of them is a little more ruthless than a ruthless person and is a real werewolf. How can you endure it? You can kill or behead me. If I frown, my surname will not be Deng. Back then, I had only one person and a knife, cutting from south to north, and then from north to south, without blinking an eye. Brotherly, weren't your eyes dry at that time? Is this the point? Seeing that everyone would rather die than surrender, Yi Yuan had already expected it, and the smile on his face became more and more evil. By the way, while you are eating, I am afraid something might happen to your family, so I will send someone to take care of you. If you don't believe me, you can call and ask. Everyone was shocked. The eyes looking at Yi Yuan were full of horror. The most taboo thing for those who are involved in the underworld is to bring harm to their families, whether it is a fight between the two sides, internal strife within a gang, or grudges. We will always speak with strength and not with the other person's family. Now, I heard that Yi Yuan meant to hold their family hostage. If you don't obey, your family will suffer too. Everyone couldn't sit still, and everyone quickly called their families. The results obtained are that without exception, someone is monitoring them. Yi Yuan, what do you mean? It won't bring harm to your family. Are you going to violate the rules of the road? One person yelled angrily. Noisy. Yi Yuan frowned and a pistol appeared in his hand. Bang 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 is just 3 shots, not sloppy at all. The man was hit by 3 bullets and fell straight to the ground, with an angry expression on his face before he died. At the same time, Yi Yuan also called the other side. One word, kill. Now I have the final say in the Wolf Alliance. Who is in favor of it and who is against it? Perhaps because she had killed someone just now, she was filled with murderous aura at the moment, which was extremely attractive. Even though they were werewolves, they couldn't help but tremble with fear at this moment. Who wouldn't be afraid of this? If they resisted, not only would they die, but their families would also die. It seemed that there was only one way left for them: surrender. I agree. A voice suddenly sounded. Then, one after another, people spoke up. I agree too. Leader Yi is a dark power expert, and he should be the leader. Seeing this, Zhang Xiaotian, who was not far away, shivered and looked at everyone fiercely. He thought in his heart that when he recovered, he must kill all these traitors. You are very good, but I don't believe you. Yi Yuan smiled and took out a dagger. With a light wave, the dagger was inserted straight into the table. Then he pointed at Zhang Xiaotian. Now, everyone stab him, and you can survive. Everyone. Zhang Xiaotian. Hearing Yi Yuan's request, the faces of the high-level members of the Wolf Alliance changed wildly. In the underworld, the word righteousness is the most important. Brothers are like limbs, women are like clothes. Zhang Xiaotian is their eldest brother. Betraying the eldest brother will be despised, not to mention stabbing the eldest brother. If they do it, they must keep it a secret, otherwise they will not end well. In this way, they will always be manipulated and will never be able to turn over. This is exactly what Yi Yuan wants. Not far away, Zhang Xiaotian's eyes were fierce. He was thinking about how to retaliate in the future, and was dumbfounded after hearing her words. There are so many people in the hall, if everyone stabs him, he will definitely die. For a moment, his eyes looking at Yi Yuan were full of fear and, begging for mercy. I'll give you 30 seconds to think about it. If you don't do it after 30 seconds, then die with him. She showed a bloodthirsty smile and started to count down. Not long after the words fell, someone had made a choice. I saw a man slowly getting up with all his strength, and walked towards Zhang Xiaotian step by step. When he passed the table, he pulled out the dagger. When he came in front of him, shame flashed in his eyes, and then turned into determination. He raised his hand and stabbed Zhang Xiaotian with a knife. Because of the poisoning, he was slapped away by Yi Yuan, and he had no strength at this time. He could only watch it all. One person took the lead, and someone else stood up, came in front of him, pulled out the dagger and stabbed it again, one after another, until everyone in the hall was stabbed. At this time, the originally famous leader of the Wolf Alliance died with his eyes open. Sorry for the late update, I want to finish this plot, otherwise everyone will be unhappy and say that I am out of context. I am really afraid that one day you will have a knife in your hand and kill all the out-of-context dogs in the world. Chapter 63 The fish has taken the bait, it's time to close the net. Game of life and death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the other side, Xu Liang put down the tablet. This good show did not disappoint him. What surprised him the most was Yi Yuan. She had the ability, the means, and most importantly, she had brains. He was quite satisfied with the first slave he collected. Click. There was a sound of the door opening, and Lu Rulan came out of the bedroom. She had just returned from the company, and she was surprised and happy to see Xu Liang, whom she had been thinking about day and night. Xu Liang said he would take her for a walk, so she quickly changed into casual clothes. Holding hands, she walked with Xu Liang on the streets of the summer night, listening to the chirping of insects and silkworms around. Lu Rulan's face was full of happiness. Touching her slightly bulging belly, she couldn't help but feel grateful for the child in her belly. If she hadn't suddenly become pregnant, Xu Liang wouldn't have changed his attitude towards her, and he wouldn't have taken such good care of her as he did now. The next day, Xu Liang returned to the Xu family compound. The luck of the Bloody Rose has almost been harvested, and if Yi Yuan is called today, it will almost be harvested. I have to say, she is really good at training people. As soon as he got off the car, a message came over, and Xu Liang raised his eyebrows. It showed that Yi Xian secretly transferred 10 million from his father's card and invested all of it in the stock market. Why do you say secretly? Yi Xian told his father that he planned to make a sure-win deal, but was rejected. Seeing the funds in the account increase several times every day, he felt heartbroken. It would be better if the capital was more. He thought of Xu Liang's humiliation of him, and the goddess was still being deceived and played. Finally, he made up his mind and made a direct transfer himself. He knew the password of his father's account, which was not a difficult task for him. At worst, he would give his father a surprise when he made money. After investing all the money in the stock market, Yi Xian began to look forward to it. His golden finger is indeed stock trading, according to the information reported by his subordinates. Even without their operation behind the scenes, Yi Xian can still make a profit every day. Although the profit will not be so much. The fish has taken the bait, we can start to close the net. Xu Liang immediately issued an order. A large group of traders under his command started to work. They are usually responsible for sniping large groups, or even other national finances, and the funds harvested are billions. They were all a little confused about Xu Liang's request to harvest a stockholder worth tens of millions. Although confused, they did not say much and faithfully executed the order. Yi family Yi Xian stared at the stock market as usual. At first, it was not beyond his expectations, and the stocks he bought were slowly rising, but not long after, those stocks actually fell rapidly and soon hit the limit. Yi Xian was dumbfounded. This was the first time he encountered such a situation. For a while, he was a little at a loss. Just when he was hesitating whether to withdraw, several stocks actually started to rise again. The speed of their rise was also very fast, and they were about to return to their original positions. Yi Xian was no longer panicked, his hands were no longer shaking, and a smile appeared on his face. He said, "How could the stocks he chose fall? Even if they fall, they will rise back later, and they may even rise sharply. He had encountered this situation several times before, however, his smile froze suddenly. The stock fell again, and even fell to a new height. Yi Xian did not believe in evil, and at this time he had no intention of withdrawing, and only expected the stock to rise again. In his expectation, the stock continued to fall. Just when he was about to withdraw his hands again, the stock miraculously improved. If there were senior stockholders who saw this scene, they would definitely find that someone was behind the scenes. Yi Xian had already fallen into the trap step by step, indeed. Yi Xian was like a gambler who had lost all his money and was looking forward to getting his money back. Whenever he was desperate, the stock would get better a little, giving him a glimmer of hope. The rhythm was completely controlled, jumping back and forth between hope and despair. These traders under Xu Liang were all top experts, and they were very familiar with controlling people's hearts. After giving orders to his subordinates, Xu Liang no longer cared. They would naturally do things. Well, what? Can't do it? Then what's the use of you? He asked someone to bring out the tea set and started to make tea. His tea art is also god level, and the reward from a female protagonist is one of his side jobs. He skillfully placed the tea and warmed the cup. His movements were smooth, and he did it in one go. His every move seemed to be integrated with the world. His temperament was elegant and easygoing, and it was pleasing to the eye. Yi Yuan arrived at some point, and when he saw that he had brewed a pot of tea, he hurriedly helped to pour the tea. Go and see the bloody rose. Xu Liang picked up the teacup and shook it slightly, looking calmly at the scene of flowers blooming in front of him. Yes, master. Yi Yuan took the order and went to the basement. She could guess Xu Liang's intention, which was to make that woman completely mentally collapsed. She would not let her master down. Afternoon. Xu Liang came to the basement. Ding! Bloody Rose's mind collapsed. Villain value plus 1000. Ding! Bloody Rose's mentality exploded. Villain value plus 1000. Yi Yuan is really good at training people, and this killer heroine's luck is not much left, but that's all. No matter what means she uses now, her luck can't be reduced. Xu Liang thought for a while. It seems that it is not so easy to make the protagonist's halo disappear, and it requires greater stimulation. It's time to play the life and death game with her. As early as knowing Bloody Rose's identity, he has been planning to conquer her, and now he is ready. Pick a dress for her to wear and bring her out. After instructing Yi Yuan, Xu Liang walked out of the basement. Arriving at the private golf course, he stood with his hands behind his back, and an invisible aura emanated. Swish! A figure wearing a mask and covered in a black robe appeared in front of him and knelt on one knee. The black robe was embroidered with a pattern similar to a spider web, which was the symbol of Skynet. It symbolizes that the whole world is within the net. The black-robed man looked at him with respect and enthusiasm. My lord. From the title, it can be heard that he is a killer of Skynet. Xu Liang looked deep and said calmly. Bring the people up, the game can begin. Chapter 64. Xu Liang kills people and breaks their hearts. The heroine's mentality explodes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not long after, several blonde and blue-eyed crooked nuts were brought up. It is not difficult to tell from their clothes and temperament that they are all wealthy people, the second generation of rich people who are not short of money. At this time, their faces were full of rebelliousness, arrogance and domineering. I still haven't realized the seriousness of the matter. My father is an oil tycoon. I advise you to let me go, otherwise you will all die when my father comes to find me. My dad is a member of the Black House. If you dare to arrest me, aren't you afraid of provoking an international dispute? My dad is. When they introduced their identities, their backgrounds were terrifying. However, neither Skynet Killer nor Xu Liang had any intention of paying attention to them. Why care about a bunch of dead people clamoring? When Bloody Rose was brought to the golf course by Yi Yuan, she saw a few people shouting and felt a little familiar. Soon, she remembered, a year ago, these people were teased and chased by a killer. She happened to pass by and killed the killer and saved them. Why are they here? Considering that Xu Liang is the master of Skynet, it is not surprising to find these people. I wonder what Xu Liang means by coming to them. She suddenly had a bad feeling. Xu Liang sat on a chair, supporting his head with one hand, looking at the people with interest. Yi Yuan came up behind him and started massaging him. Let's play a game first. The name of the game is, Introduce Yourself. To put it simply, introduce yourselves. Remember to be detailed. If it doesn't match the information I checked. Xu Liang raised his eyebrows, and the expressionless Skynet killer beside him raised his pistol and pointed it at them. Seeing the black muzzle of the gun, several people finally realized that something was wrong. This group of people was different from the robbers they had encountered before. After capturing them, they seemed to have no intention of holding them hostage for ransom. Several young people finally started to panic, and when they were about to say something, Xu Liang spoke. Now, the game begins, you go first. He stretched out his hand and pointed at a young man with blonde hair and short hair, facing someone pointing a gun at him. The blonde young man panicked, but he still mustered up the courage to speak. My dad is an oil tycoon. Just tell me how much you want and I will ask him to call you right away. Waste of time, next one. Xu Liang said impatiently before he could finish his words. Everyone was stunned for a moment, and before they could react, a gunshot rang out, a cloud of blood mist exploded. Next to them, the head of the blonde young man whose father was an oil tycoon exploded, blood and brains flying. Because the distance is not far, it is sprinkled on the remaining few people. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect that this group of people would dare to shoot. Facing this bloody scene, some people couldn't bear it and vomited on the spot. They all panicked. They were not afraid that the other party was a robber. They had plenty of money at home. I'm afraid that these people don't want anything. It's like it's really a game. To kill them for fun. Bloody Rose couldn't bear it. She wanted to stop it, but she knew very well that there was nothing she could do. I can only turn my face to one side and look no further. As Xu Liang's fingers fell on another person, the man looked horrified and did not dare to neglect, so he quickly began to introduce himself. My name is Mike. I am 25 years old. My father is a member of parliament. He did not forget that Xu Liang asked him to introduce himself in detail, so he began to try hard to recall his childhood. 5 years old, playing with the neighbor's child next door and pushing him down the stairs. 8 years old, throwing acid on the nanny. 13 years old, raped the new nanny. 18 years old, obsessed with a female classmate in my class. 23 years old, obsessed with a young girl. As he continued to tell, Bloody Rose not far away was stunned, with disbelief on her face. When she passed by and saw several people being teased and tortured by the killer, she took action to save them. Unexpectedly, one of the guys was so crazy that it would be an exaggeration to call him a devil. Xu Liang's expression remained calm as he leisurely enjoyed Yi Yuan's massage. Your memory is very good, but you made a mistake. You raped not 12 young girls, but 13. The man's face was full of horror when he heard this. Just when he was about to say something, a bullet fired, bang. As expected, the same head blossomed and blood splattered. The few remaining people were trembling, their faces pale and bloodless. The two people who were killed just now were already considered the two most powerful among their group of young men, but he was shot dead without mercy. Everyone's mentality collapsed. As Xu Liang stretched out his hand, the man's whole body started to tremble. Finally, I honestly began to introduce myself. When several people were introduced, Bloody Rose was stunned and her mind went blank. It turns out that it's not just Mike who is crazy, but a whole group of people are like this. A group of young men also formed a club, and countless young girls were harmed by them, but he saved them, which is equivalent to an accomplice of this group of people. This was contrary to her long-standing justice, and her heart was greatly shocked. At this time, a playful voice sounded in her ears. By the way, I have a piece of news here. Do you want to hear it? Without waiting for her to reply, Xu Liang spoke to himself. The killers who chased them were hired by the family they harmed after spending all their savings, and the request was to torture them. You are really a good person who saved them. He put emphasis on the three words good person. Xu Liang sighed and continued. After you saved them, they killed the whole family and held several parties. Seeing Rose's body trembling and her face full of painful expressions, Xu Liang smiled slightly. That's right, what he wanted was to kill people and destroy their hearts. He didn't know much about the female protagonists, but judging from the actions of this Bloody Rose, he was a little paranoia about justice. It can't be said that they are wrong, they are the protagonists and justice, there is no doubt about this. But she just doesn't know how to adapt, and she's a bit stubborn, do what they think is right. It's a bit like helping others when seeing injustice. For example, when she saw these people being chased, she saved them without hesitation, but she didn't know that she saved a group of evil people. I believe that after she knew that she was not only not doing good things, but also helping the evil, it would be a great blow to her beliefs. Ding! Crimson Rose's mentality exploded. Villain value plus 1000. Chapter 65, Surrender. Bloody Rose, willing to sacrifice everything for the master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Next, the game continues. Xu Liang waved his hand with a slight smile on his face. The remaining people were taken down, and 7 or 8 more people were brought up. There were men and women in the group, different from the previous arrogance of the young masters after they were brought here. They looked frightened and trembling. They seemed to know who was arresting them. Yes, they are also from the dark world, and of course they know something about the mysterious Skynet. Skynet is very mysterious, no one knows what the killer inside looks like, only their legends are spread. They wore masks and were covered in black robes with patterns embroidered on them that resembled spider webs. Looking at the decorations of the group in front of them, the 8 people looked horrified. This group of people is probably the Skynet killers. After learning that Skynet, the most mysterious and terrifying force in the dark world, had captured them, they were all scared to death. Skynet's killers stood around, all of them afraid to breathe and trembling. They also saw Xu Liang under the shade of a tree not far away. When they saw these unblinking Skynet killers being so respectful to the young man, a guess emerged in their minds: Lord of Skynet. Several people suddenly felt their scalps numb. Every killer of Skynet is so powerful. The master of Skynet who controls them is so easy to imagine, it is simply unimaginable. Slowing down gradually, Bloody Rose also saw them. She also knew these 8 people, and she had saved their lives. Her heart became anxious, and she felt a strong uneasiness. Afterwards, Xu Liang told the rules of the game, and a few people did not dare to neglect or conceal them, so they told them all honestly. It turns out that the 8 people are all internationally wanted criminals, and they are even famous in the dark world. Born in a terrorist organization, he commits all kinds of crimes including burning, killing and looting. As several people narrated, Xiangwei's mentality exploded again. Ding! Bloody Rose is mentally broken. Villain value plus 1000. After a few people finished talking, Xu Liang asked people to take them down and replace them with the next group. This time it was an elderly couple who were brought up. The old man looked amiable, and the woman had a kind face. No one would have thought that this old couple turned out to be human traffickers and had abducted hundreds of children. This time Xiangwei's mentality completely collapsed. Because she was trafficked, she especially hates human traffickers. Unexpectedly, he saved the people he hated the most and allowed them to continue doing evil. Next, batch after batch of people were brought up, all of whom had done evil things and were saved by her. The last person brought up was a beggar young man who turned out to be the murderer who killed and dismembered his body. Xiangwei looked numb and confused. The belief in justice in her heart was already on the verge of being shattered. Seeing that it was almost done, Xu Liang snapped his fingers. Subsequently, groups of people who were taken down were brought up again and gathered together. Get ready to start the next program. Looking at the dozens of people below, Xu Liang had a joking expression on his face. Now, give you a chance. He pointed at Xiangwei. Whoever kills her will live on. As he finished speaking, a long knife and a pistol were thrown into the crowd. I don't know if it was a coincidence, but the pistol happened to fall at the feet of the beggar young man, and he quickly picked it up. He comes from a beautiful country, a grain of freedom, shot every day. He was no stranger to guns. Thinking of what Xu Liang said, he immediately shot Xiangwei without hesitation. Bang bang bang. 3 shots in a row were missed. It can be seen that his accuracy is not good. Bloody Rose came back to her senses and saw a group of people staring at her with scarlet eyes, as if looking at prey. She couldn't accept it at all. Although it was Xu Liang's coercion, she saved them, and it still made her feel cold that they shot without hesitation. Another gunshot rang out, and Xiangwei ducked out of instinct. Not only was she shot, but someone rushed towards her with a long knife. At first, she just avoided it, but gradually Her eyes changed, the inhuman torture she had suffered these days, the knowledge that she was an accomplice of the bad guys, the betrayal of the crowd who wanted to kill her, all kinds of negative emotions exploded, she no longer avoided them. Since these people wanted to kill her, she would kill them too. A top killer is a top killer. Even if he is tortured for several days, he still has the fighting power of an Jin. These people are not her enemies at all. Jiang Wei went crazy. A few minutes later, she had killed everyone and stood among the corpses. At this time, her whole body was bathed in blood, as if she was the god of death coming out of hell. Bang bang bang. There was a burst of applause. Xu Liang clapped his hands and stood up. At this time, the bloody rose did look a bit like a bodyguard in his mind. Jiang Wei's face was cold, her eyes fell on Xu Liang, and her murderous intent boiled over. The smile on Xu Liang's face did not diminish, with a playful look on his face. I forgot to tell you that some of these people said what I asked them to say. In fact, not all of them are heinous. Just like that beggar young man, he was a rich second generation pretending to be a beggar to experience life. He was indeed beaten by gangsters at that time. You didn't save the wrong person. Boom. Rose's head seemed to explode. What did she hear? Some of the people she killed were not criminals. Doesn't that mean that she killed good people? The dragon slayer finally became the evil dragon. The justice that she had always upheld collapsed at this moment. Ding. Bloody Rose's mentality exploded. Villain value plus 1000. Ding. Bloody Rose's faith collapsed. Villain value plus 1001. Xu Liang raised his eyebrows. Villain value plus 1001. Is this off the charts? In his sight, the luck on Rose's head completely dissipated. Just when her mind collapsed, Xu Liang activated the ability of mind control. Swish. It seemed that nothing had happened, but everything was different. Bloody Rose slowly raised her head, and the pain, entanglement, and regret on her face disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by fanaticism and piety. Tap tap tap. She walked step by step. Yi Yuan frowned and took a step forward, ready to block Xu Liang. The blood rose in this state brought her a strong sense of threat and oppression. Xu Liang reached out to stop her, and looked at the approaching red figure with a smile. When she came in front of him, she knelt on one knee and lowered her head. Blood Rose, I am willing to dedicate everything to my master. Xu Liang looked at the submissive heroine, who could no longer be called the protagonist. He said after a moment of silence. From now on, you can be called Hong Yi, and be my personal bodyguard for the time being. The big guys are so awesome. I kneel down to thank you for your support, and I beg for power generation again. As long as the little brother is not dead, I will update to death. Chapter 66, Personal Bodyguard Online. Rich Lottery Rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. She chose the clothes herself, and she chose to wear red. She must have a preference for red. Xu Liang didn't choose the name casually. Yes, master. Get up. Bloody Rose, now should be said to be in red, obediently stood up and stood beside him respectfully, acting like a bodyguard. She was drawn by the system through a lottery. It should be said that she was in this world and only found him under the influence of the system, although it's a bit tricky to let him subdue it by himself, but it seems, it does smell like a personal bodyguard. Yi Yuan next to her was full of envy. Personal bodyguard, you can always be with Xu Liang, what an honor that is. She was envious, and she looked forward to being reused by Xu Liang. In the past, she only wanted to follow a strong man like Xu Liang. After these days of controlling the Wolf Alliance, she enjoyed the pleasure of controlling other people's lives and deaths. Now everything she had was given by Xu Liang, and she could take it back if she was unhappy. She had to be more pleasable. It is worth mentioning that, Xu Liang did not control them to become emotional puppets, which would lose a lot of fun. They still have their own thoughts, and Yi Yuan's perverted attributes have not changed. Bloody Rose's character changed, and she began to isolate herself under a series of blows. The originally single-minded righteous character is no longer there, but now no matter who it is, Xu Liang will show no mercy when he asks her to do it. The personal bodyguard is online and Xu Liang is in a good mood, immersed in the system. The villain value unexpectedly reached over 40,000. Most of them were contributed by red shirts. Let's see how your luck is today. System, lottery. Ding, congratulations to the host, you won the prize, marrow cleansing pill, 1 bottle, marrow cleansing pill, 10 pills in a bottle, cleans the marrow and cuts the pulse, removes impurities from the whole body, and improves the qualifications of the root and bones. Xu Liang raised his eyebrows. The reward this time is pretty good. As we all know, the best time to practice martial arts is when you are young. When he grew up, his bones were reshaped, making it extremely difficult to practice martial arts. With the marrow cleansing pill, you don't have to worry, you can improve your physical fitness in all aspects. He has gone through systematic purification of marrow and veins, and his qualifications are far beyond ordinary people. He can break through the realm without any shackles. Even if his Skynet killers have high potential, they are still trapped in Huajin under the influence of genetic medicine. If I take the marrow cleansing pill, will it break through the transformation energy? Xu Liang secretly thought it was a pity that there was only 1 bottle. As for giving the marrow cleansing pill to Yi Yuan and Hong Yi, he has no plans yet, and it depends on their subsequent performance. Continue to draw. Ding, congratulations to the host, you won the prize, Zhu Yen Dan, 1 bottle, Yanshuden, 10 pills in a bottle, youth will last forever. No unnecessary explanation, for words, eternal youth, are enough to explain the preciousness of this elixir. If you put it up for auction, it will definitely fetch a sky-high price, and countless women will go crazy for it. Of course, Xu Liang would not do such a mindless thing. Taking priceless treasures to auction is something only a fool would do. With this killing weapon, he is already thinking about which heroine to attack. It seems that I am lucky today. Both items are priceless. Keep pumping. Ding, congratulations to the host, you won the prize, Desert Eagle Pistol, modified, Golden Desert Eagle, unlimited bullets, unlimited magazines, as powerful as armor-piercing bullets, only for use by the host. Brush. The next moment, a Desert Eagle pistol appeared in his hand. In the sunlight, the gold on the lower surface reflects light. The pistol has obviously been modified and looks powerful and cool. Unfortunately, it is of no use to him. Even after modification, it can still kill and gene and threaten the early stage of Huajin. Most of these existences can be dealt with by red clothes. If he can't figure it out, he can solve it with one hand. Xu Liang didn't dislike it. There were many protagonists in this world, so it was no problem to deal with some ordinary protagonists. Continue. Ding, congratulations to the host, you won the prize, recruiting a special talent. Talent recruitment. Summon special talents who are 100% loyal to the host. Xu Liang's eyes lit up. This is not a bloody rose that appeared under the influence of the system and needs to be conquered by him. This is a real dead warrior. After a few months, another dead soldier finally appeared, and he was a special talent. Once before, the heroine surrendered, and a recruitment of 100,000 dead soldiers was immediately revealed. It really gave him the confidence to gain a foothold in this world. With 100,000 loyal men, Xu Liang decided to form a force considering the placement problem. Genetic medicine and 100,000 dead soldiers led to the rapid rise of Skynet in half a year. Without hesitation, Xu Liang immediately used special talent recruitment. After checking the information of the summoned person, he had a wonderful expression. Turns out to be a biology professor. The system automatically arranged the identity, the youngest academician in Kyushu. He is mainly engaged in research in the field of biology. What everyone doesn't know is that he has been secretly studying human genes, touching the forbidden zone of human beings. He has made great achievements in human genetics, but due to restrictions, he cannot conduct experiments. This is not a difficult task for Xu Liang. Just send it to the Black Continent Research Institute. Presumably, the Research Institute will achieve higher results because of his arrival. Not only study genetic drugs, but also study the marrow cleansing pills and anti-aging pills awarded this time. What if there is a surprise? Yes, house in the bedroom. Yi Xian stared at the computer with red eyes. Just now, he saw that several stocks he bought plummeted. After checking, he found that those companies declared bankruptcy and his account funds were cleared. In other words, that he not only lost the original millions, but also lost the 10 million secretly transferred from his father's card. If his father knew that he was such a spendthrift, he would be furious. Yi Xian was already losing money at this time. He couldn't believe this was true. It must be bad luck. The probability of several companies going bankrupt at the same time is no less than winning the lottery. No. I have to get back what I lost. Like a gambler who has lost all his money, he set his eyes on the remaining money in the card. Chapter 67. You are the protagonist after all, don't die so soon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 days passed. Xu Liang comforted several other women, each of whom loved him to death, who said he was invincible. Go to Laojie. After getting in the car, Xu Liang said the destination, tonight. His game with Xia Qingqiu was about to begin, and he certainly wouldn't miss this good show. Hongyi drove obediently in front. Since she became a personal bodyguard, the others had all withdrawn. Having her by his side was enough. If necessary, those people could be recalled at any time. Ding. Yi Xian's mentality collapsed. Villain value plus 555. Ding. Yi Xian's mind was unstable. Villain value plus 666. Ding. Xu Liang's eyes flashed, and he took out his mobile phone and looked at his subordinate's information report on Yi Xian. TSK. After all, he is a protagonist, don't be played to death so quickly. On the other side, Yi family. Yi Xian sat in front of the computer, his eyes were bloodshot, and he had 2 big dark circles under his eyes, his hair was messy and greasy, and his face was extremely haggard. He hadn't slept for 3 days and 3 nights, and he had been staring at the stock market. At this moment, his eyes were dull, and he looked at the zero account funds in disbelief. In these 3 days he transferred all the tens of millions in his father's account and invested them in the stock market. Now he has lost all his money. He is a complete idiot. Tens of millions, he spent them all in a few days. Yi Xian suddenly felt a little cold, and his body was shaking slightly. He thought of one thing. If his father knew that he had spent all the tens of millions of demolition money, he would be furious. Dong dong dong. At this time, his bedroom door was knocked hard. His father's anxious voice came from outside the door. Xiao Xian, open the door for me, the money in my card is gone, did you transfer it away? Yi Xian woke up suddenly, looking at the door that was still being knocked, as if he was looking at some kind of flood and beast. He didn't dare to open it at all. Outside the door, Ye's father knocked for a long time but there was no movement. Thinking that something had happened, he was about to knock the door open. At this moment, the door was open from the inside. He saw Yi Xian, who looked haggard, and was immediately startled, and asked hurriedly. Xiao Xian, what happened to you? Dad. Yi Xian shouted, his voice slightly hoarse. What happened? Don't scare me. Seeing that he was hesitant to speak, Ye's father panicked even more. After struggling for a long time, it was impossible to hide this matter, so Yi Xian decided to tell it. What did you say? Ye's father stumbled and stared at Yi Xian with an incredible face. He suspected that he had heard it wrong, and asked again uncertainly. You said, you took all the money to invest in stocks. And lost everything? Yi Xian nodded guiltily. Puff. Ye's father spit out a mouthful of old blood, and was furious. You. He pointed at Yi Xian and wanted to speak, but couldn't. I just felt the anger rising up and rushing straight to my mind. Then, a feeling of dizziness came, and he fell straight down. No one knows what he has been through these days. Since listening to Yi Xian's advice and testing relatives and friends and being exposed, many people look at him with strange eyes. There is disgust, ridicule, sneer, and disdain. Even if he is walking on the road, an unfamiliar passerby looks at him, he feels that he is laughing. He has been under great pressure recently, and the whole person is a little panic. Fortunately, he is really rich, and the tens of millions in his card make him feel at ease. There is money in hand, and there is no panic in the heart, which is the truth. However, his beloved son suddenly told him, I have spent all your money. Now, they have really become a joke. Dad! What's wrong with you? Seeing his father vomiting blood and falling to the ground, Yi Xian panicked. 2 hours later Yi Xian came out of the ward, and the doctor's examination result was that he was angry. It's not a big problem, but he needs to stay in the hospital for a while. Yi Xian felt extremely guilty. It was all because of him. If it weren't for his bad idea of testing people's hearts, there wouldn't be no relatives visiting now. These were all relatives who were willing to lend money to his family before. He didn't dare to ask those who didn't lend him money. If he hadn't lost money in stock speculation, his father wouldn't be so angry. the more he thought about it, the more he felt guilty and regretful. Ding-ling-ling, 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 a phone rang. Yi Xian picked it up and frowned. The caller ID showed that it was Uncle San. He knew the character of this Uncle San. His family was obviously very rich, but he refused to lend a penny. Although he was unhappy, he still answered the call. Xiao Xian, I heard your dad is in the hospital. Is there anything going on? If you need help, let me know. A slightly flattering voice came from the other side. No. Yi Xian was impatiently about to hang up. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he said with a turn of his eyes. It's no big deal, it's just that my family is a little short of money recently. Uncle San on the other side raised his eyebrows and curled his lips in his heart when he heard this. Who doesn't know that your family just demolished 50 million, and it's only been a few days and you're short of money? Is this another test? I thought that last time it was a test, and if I didn't lend money, the two families would lose contact from then on. I didn't expect it to happen again. I thought I must seize the opportunity this time. He smiled immediately. Lack of money? If you need money, come to me. Although Uncle San's family is also in trouble, since it's a relative in trouble, I have to show my appreciation no matter what. How much do you want? I'll transfer it to you right away. Yi Xian was shocked. He was just testing it out, but he didn't expect that he was really willing to lend money. His heart immediately became active, and he said tentatively. The more the better, it would be best to have 1 million. Uncle San couldn't help but frowned. 1 million is not a small number for him. After lending it out, his family will have to live a tight life. But then he thought, Yi Xian's family has demolished 50 million, will they still embezzle his money? I heard from the relatives who lent money to Yi Xian before that the money they lent was returned, so he stamped his feet, gritted his teeth, and transferred 1 million to Yi Xian. Seeing 1 million in the account, Yi Xian was immediately excited. It's not because of this 1 million that he was excited, he had seen tens of millions, it's because he saw the hope of rising again. He borrowed 1 million from Uncle San. What about other relatives and friends? If he borrowed 10 million and invested it in the stock market, wouldn't it be easy to make back all the losses at that time? As for whether he would lose money, he had already thought of the reason. He was too much of a fool before. He must be very cautious this time. Chapter 68 The Protagonist's Mysterious Confidence. The drama begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thinking of this, Yi Xian started to borrow money from relatives and friends again. What? Brother Xian, you are short of money? Ahaha. It just so happens that I have enough money now. It's no problem to lend you money, we are so close. Xiao Xian, this is a little gift from your third aunt. I hope you don't think it's too little. If you need help, you can ask your third aunt and uncle-in-law. We are relatives, so of course we should be closer. Borrow money? You tried it once, and you are trying it again, right? Isn't it just lucky that the house was demolished? What's there to brag about? An hour later, Yi Xian called and sent messages to all his relatives and friends. Unlike the previous time when he only borrowed tens of thousands of yuan, this time he borrowed more than 9 million yuan in total. Almost all those who didn't borrow money last time borrowed it, and few of those who borrowed money last time could borrow it this time. Yi Xian felt bitter. He is not a fool. Why doesn't he understand the difference? Only those who are willing to lend them money for the first time are truly close to them, and their relationship may become increasingly distant in the future. Even though he borrowed so much money this time, who doesn't have their own thoughts? But he doesn't care, just use this money to make back the original amount. Seeing that he still needs hundreds of thousands to 10 million, Yi Xian checked his friend list to see if he could borrow more. Suddenly, his eyes fell on a name, Goddess. After thinking about it, he edited a message and sent it out. Xiao Meng, can you lend me some more money? I will pay you back soon. But just after sending it out, a red exclamation mark popped up. Yi Xian was dumbfounded. He was blocked by Li Xiaomeng. He looked through the friend list again, but in the end he didn't get hundreds of thousands. He couldn't help but think of his home and the small factory at home. If he mortgaged it, he would definitely get 1 or 2 million. Yi Xian was tempted. He is now mainly raising money. As long as the capital is more, he will earn more and get back the original amount faster. he is still quite confident about stock trading, those were all accidents before, and he didn't think carefully. He will be very cautious in the future, he will definitely make all the money back. People are like this. If they don't see the final result, they will keep a fluke mentality, just like a certain author. He obviously failed, but he still comforted himself and insisted on going on. Crying, night falls. The night scene of Shanghai is full of lights and wine. Red, yellow, green lights illuminate the entire night sky. Unlike the hustle and bustle in the bustling city, Shanghai has such an area where you can't see any people at night. They go to bed on time every night. This is the Old Street, a famous slum. The reason why people here go to bed early is not only because they have to work early tomorrow, but also because they will die if they walk too much at night. They will really die. The city is strictly controlled, and those gangs dare not cause trouble. This place has become a place for gang fights, and gunfights. As soon as night fell, someone noticed an unusual atmosphere and locked the door and went to sleep early. It was indeed unusual, because a gang fight was about to take place here, today. The Wolf Alliance and the Star Moon Club would compete to decide who would be the king of the underground world of the Magic City in the future. Every time a gang fight breaks out, no one knows how many people will die, and this was just a game that Xu Liang thought of on a whim. The troops of both sides were gathering, and countless younger brothers gathered together with machetes and steel pipes. On the high building, Xu Liang had a panoramic view of all this. At this time, he was leisurely drinking red wine while enjoying the leg massage from his personal bodyguard Hongyi. Hongyi, do you want to make a bet with me, who will win and lose in this game? Feeling interesting, Xu Liang looked at Hongyi in front of him and raised his eyebrows slightly. No matter the victory or defeat, the master is the winner. Hongyi answered meticulously. Boring. Xu Liang sighed, and then continued to look at the scene below with interest. Xingyue Club President, what are you waiting for? Let's go straight over and destroy the Wolf League. Let's do it in a big way and disperse early. What about the Wolf League? We're going to beat him like a dog today. That's right, let them know the strength of our Xingyue Club. If we defeat the Wolf League, we will be the boss in the future. A group of younger brothers waved their weapons. Their fighting spirit was high, and they wanted to rush up and kill for 300 rounds immediately. Unlike their determination to win, the leader Xia Qingqiu was in a heavy mood. If it was just the Wolf League, she would not be afraid at all. Although the people in the Wolf League were all werewolves, there were more than ruthless people, but the comfortable life for 20 years had already corrupted their will. I don't know how much of the werewolf spirit at that time is left now. She was worried about Xu Liang. She had made a special understanding of Xu Liang during this period. He was calm and always looked calm, as if everything was under his control. He dared to bet with her that he would never sit idly by and must have done something in secret. This is a tough battle. She must do her best, otherwise she and the entire Xingyue Club will have to surrender to Xu Liang. When she thought of being put in various positions by that man, she felt a chill, and her eyes became more determined. On the other side, the area where the Wolf League is located, like the Xingyue Club, this side is also full of passion and is eager to do a big fight. This is just the idea of the Wolf League's younger brother. As Xia Qingqiu expected, these middle and high-level people have lost their fighting spirit after enjoying themselves for 20 years. They just want to spend their old age in peace, but today they have to transform into werewolves again and fight the Xingyue Club. Even Bushi paid the price of his life for it. They didn't want to, but they were forced by the new leader. Yi Yuan sent people to control their families. If you don't want to get into trouble, fight to the death. If they lose this fight, they, including their families, will have no need to live. As expected of a madman, he didn't care about the lives of these people for Xu Liang's victory. This group of middle and high-level people were helpless. They could only win and not lose. Under this suffocating threat, their sluggish werewolf spirit was stimulated again. With Yi Yuan's order, the Wolf Alliance took the lead in launching an attack, and rushed towards the Xingyue Club with red eyes. A gang fight kicked off. I'm dead, begging for power, begging for support from the big guys. Chapter 69. The game is over. The underworld queen lost, and the price was surrender. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Wolf Alliance launched an attack, and the Xingyue Club was also unwilling to be outdone. Waving their weapons and rushing forward, there were more than 1,000 people on both sides, and the battle was like a small battlefield. The shouts, screams, and wails gathered together, interweaving into a tragic picture. Hearing the fighting outside, the residents of the old street locked their doors and shivered in their quilts. Soldiers against soldiers, generals against generals. The high-level people of the Xingyue Club and the Wolf Alliance also fought together. The more they fought, the more shocked the people on the Xingyue Club side were. They found that the guys on the opposite side were all fighting desperately, kill 1,000 enemies, lose 800 of their own. The leaders of both sides were naturally fighting. Clang! After a sound of metal clashing, the two moved away for a distance. Xia Qingqiu's hand holding the Tang sword was shaking slightly. She was extremely shocked. She didn't expect the new leader to be so strong. The breath is steady, the foundation is solid, it doesn't look like he just broke through the dark energy. Of course she knew about the news that the leader of the Wolf Alliance was replaced. At that time, she was still feeling lucky that the war was about to start, and the Wolf Alliance suddenly changed its leader. There will definitely be turmoil at that time, and the strength of the Wolf Alliance will be reduced, but looking at the way the Wolf Alliance is killing people, its strength has not only not decreased, but has become stronger. This new leader is not a simple person either. His strength is not weaker than hers. And the madness on his face and the bloodthirstiness in his eyes made her a little scared. While she was frightened, she was also a little lucky. She didn't know that the Wolf Alliance had two dark energy masters before. If Yi Yuan hadn't rebelled and taken the position, their Xingyue Club would have died. Before she thought for long, Yi Yuan rushed over again, waving the machete in the middle. She was too fast. Xia Qingqiu couldn't dodge in time, and could only pick up the knife to defend. Clang! The two knives collided, and sparks flew everywhere. This attack was very powerful, and Xia Qingqiu felt his hands go weak. Suddenly, her eyes were stern. She kicked Yi Yuan's lower abdomen fiercely. Unexpectedly, Yi Yuan did not dodge and was kicked by her. Resisting the explosion of the hidden power in her body, Yi Yuan grabbed her foot and threw it out fiercely. Boom! Xia Qingqiu was smashed into the wall fiercely and almost got out. Her expression was cold and her mood became heavier. She felt that Yi Yuan in front of her was a madman. This was a completely injury-for-injury fighting style. Afterwards, the two fought for dozens of rounds. Both of them were injured, but on the surface, Yi Yuan's injury was more serious, and Xia Qingqiu just looked a little embarrassed. Taking advantage of this gap, she took the time to look around. Both sides' younger brothers were killed and injured. Seeing her subordinates fall in front of her one by one, her face was ugly. This won't work. Sooner or later, they will be exhausted to death. We must fight quickly. Her mind raced and her eyes were fierce. As soon as he stepped on the ground, he flew towards Yi Yuan like an arrow. The two fought fiercely again. Suddenly, Xia Qingqiu found a flaw in Yi Yuan and chopped it down with a knife. At the critical moment, Yi Yuan twisted his waist and dodged. Although he avoided the vital point, he was hit in the lower abdomen by a knife, cutting his flesh. After the hit, Xia Qingqiu didn't have time to be happy, and she saw the evil smile on Yi Yuan's face. From the corner of her eye, her heart clicked. A strong sense of crisis surged in her heart. Yi Yuan swung the machete backhand, aiming directly at her neck. The knife came too fast and too suddenly, and her Tang knife couldn't be retracted. It seemed that there was only one ending waiting for her, that was death. At this time, Xia Qingqiu suddenly realized, it was not that Yi Yuan had a flaw, but that he deliberately showed it to her. She was even more frightened. This guy is really desperate. Seeing the long knife getting closer and closer, Xia Qingqiu's heart calmed down. Just when she thought she was going to die, the long knife stopped when it was only a few centimeters away from her neck. Xia Qingqiu was stunned. At this moment, Yi Yuan drew the knife and changed hands, and slapped a certain acupuncture point on her body. Then, Xia Qingqiu felt a sense of weakness coming from her body. She no longer had the strength to fight, but she was still deeply puzzled. Why? Yi Yuan fought hard to get the opportunity to make that knife. That knife could obviously kill her. Why didn't it fall? You are the master's prey. How can I kill you? Yi Yuan pulled off a piece of cloth from her trouser leg and wrapped the wound to stop the bleeding. When she talked about the master, her face was respectful and fanatical. Xia Qingqiu was stunned, and then her eyes became complicated. She knew who the master was in the other person's mouth. Who else could it be besides Xu Liang? I've heard Xu Liang say this before. At this time, she also figured out why Yi Yuan had several opportunities to kill her before, but didn't do it. Even now, she didn't have any injuries. It turned out that she was Xu Liang's prey. It seems that she should thank Xu Liang. Xia Qingqiu smiled bitterly in her heart. This gang fight ended with her defeat. The younger brothers on both sides were still normal, and they fought back and forth. The middle and high-level members of Xingyue Club were terrified. They felt that the other side was not a human, but a madman. They were the kind who didn't care about their lives. After the battle, the high-level members of the Wolf League also breathed a sigh of relief. If they continued to fight, they would really have to exchange their lives for theirs. "Come with me, the master wants to see you," Yi Yuan said lightly when she came to the dazed Xia Qingqiu. Xia Qingqiu came back to her senses and knew what Xu Liang meant by looking for her. She lost this game, and lost it completely. Although she was a little reluctant, she decided to meet him. After instructing her younger brothers to clean up the mess, she followed Yi Yuan and went to a tall building not far away. When she arrived at the tall building, Xia Qingqiu saw Xu Liang. At the same time, she also noticed the surrounding scene. From here, she could see the scene of their fight just now. It turned out that he had been watching the show. No. It should be said that everyone in the Xingyue Club and the Wolf Alliance were treated as monkeys for the show. Xu Liang put down the goblet, turned around slowly, with a faint smile on his face. "We meet again. This game, you lost." Chapter 70. What will the scene be like when the queen changes into a maid outfit? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xia Qingqiu opened her mouth, trying to quibble, but she didn't know what to say. Xu Liang doesn't follow the rules. When he was betting on the game before, he said that he would not personally or send people to participate in the game. He did this. He doesn't follow the ethics of martial arts, and the trap for framing Lin Haojin has not been released yet, causing his side to lose a general. But this was all done by the Wolf Alliance, and there is no evidence that he secretly instructed it, and it didn't say at the time that the enemy's combat power could not be consumed. It can only be said that not getting rid of their high-level people was already considered as Xu Liang's mercy. If you want to blame yourself for being too impatient at the time and not considering the details. "Are you going to default on your debt?" Xu Liang said lightly, not caring about what she thought. "You have to know whether I am discussing with you or not. I am notifying you." As his voice fell, the red-clothed man beside him burst out with momentum, overwhelmingly crushed Xia Qingqiu. Under this terrifying murderous aura, the air around seemed to stagnate. She felt difficulty breathing and looked at the red-clothed man with horror. This breath was definitely the peak of dark energy. Such a being was willing to be a bodyguard of Xu Liang, and the madman beside him also surrendered to Xu Liang. Xia Qingqiu pursed her lips, her face struggling. At this time, Xu Liang's voice sounded again. "Since you want to default, there is no need for Xingyue Club to exist anymore." "No." Hearing this, Xia Qingqiu immediately became anxious. Xingyue Club was her hard work for 3 years. How could she tolerate it being destroyed because of herself? She slowly lowered her head. "I am willing to surrender." After saying that, a sense of shame surged in her heart. She was originally a strong character. When had she ever said such words to anyone? Suddenly, she felt a pain in her knee joints, and the whole person knelt down uncontrollably. Yi Yuan's cold voice came from the side. "To surrender, you must look like you surrender." Such a surrender is not sincere at first glance. Xu Liang is too lazy to check her favorability. Now he wants an attitude. Lu Rulin is a lesson learned from the past. He has plenty of experience in dealing with such a heroine. However, this game did allow him to discover a talent. He likes Yi Yuan more and more. She is smart in doing things. Unlike other supporting characters who are reckless and keep serving the protagonist, needless to say, she is loyal. If it was said that she surrendered to him because of admiration before, after using mind control, she will never betray. In the past, he just treated her as a chess piece, but now he has the intention to cultivate her. Immediately, Xu Liang waved to her. Seeing this, Yi Yuan came to him happily, knelt on her knees, and gently rested her head on his legs. Her eyes were sparkling, looking forward to that warm big hand. Xu Liang paid attention to her injuries, and the simple treatment did not stop the bleeding, and traces of blood seeped out. He frowned, turned his wrist, and a fragrant pill appeared in his hand. "Open your mouth." Hearing Xu Liang's order, Yi Yuan opened her mouth without hesitation, the pill melted in her mouth, and the medicinal power flowed through her limbs and bones, and she felt warm all over. Then, she felt a layer of dirt seeping out of the surface of her skin, and heard Xu Liang's voice in her ears. Go wash. Swish dash dash. Yi Yuan disappeared quickly in a flash. When she came out again, it was half an hour later. At this moment, she was full of strength, and it seemed that the world became clearer. Her injuries disappeared without a trace, and even no scars were left. Her skin became smooth and delicate, like white jade, and her appearance was even better. Not only that, she had just broken through not long ago, and now she broke through again, reaching the middle stage of dark energy. At this moment, if she fought with Xia Qingqiu again, she would be able to subdue him in just a few rounds. It was so amazing. It was unbelievable that such a change was brought about by a small pill. She felt more and more grateful and admired Xu Liang. Swish, swish, swish. 3 eyes fell on her. Xu Liang had a calm expression. Although it was not as perfect as the systematic marrow cleansing and meridian cutting, it was already very good for a marrow cleansing pill to have such an effect. Feeling Yi Yuan's realm breakthrough, Hong Yi's eyes sparkled with excitement. She had reached the peak of dark energy for many years. If she could get the master to give her a pill, for a moment, she looked at Xu Liang with a fiery look, expecting him to assign her a task. If Hong Yi was Xu Liang's man, she could still remain calm. Xia Qingqiu was so shocked that she couldn't speak. Originally, she took over Yi Yuan's position, kneeling in front of him, lying on Xu Liang's legs, feeling the treatment like petting a cat. At this moment, she raised her head and looked at Yi Yuan, her eyes full of disbelief. Her mouth opened into an O shape, and she really wanted to stuff something in it. Yi Yuan's skin improved, and her appearance improved, which was secondary. She knew Yi Yuan's injuries best, and she took a pill and healed completely, without even a scar. How is this possible? It's totally unscientific. She turned her head and looked at Xu Liang, expecting him to give an answer. However, Xu Liang didn't intend to pay attention to her at all, just smiled and touched his head. After accepting Yi Yuan's thanks, Xu Liang left with Hong Yi. He didn't intend to enjoy the spoils for the time being. The time and place were not suitable. Tonight, both Xingyue Club and Wolf League had many deaths, and they needed to deal with many things. When Xia Qingqiu finished dealing with everything, it would be time for him to inspect the goods. The underworld handled these things in a simple and rough manner, give some subsidies, appease the subordinates, and it will be done in a few days. Xu Liang could wait for a few days, and took this time to capture the heroine. During this period, he also thought about how to deal with this underworld queen. What kind of uniform should she wear? Black silk, dress, cheongsam are more in line with her queen's temperament. How about a contrast and let her wear women's clothes? Let the queen be a maid. That scene should be very interesting. Thank you for your support. Kneeling and bowing, but I'm a little stuck, so I'll make up for it in the last 2 chapters today, and strive for a more exciting plot later. Don't worry, the heroines will appear one by one. This is an urban novel, so you must always pay attention. Please read and cherish it.